stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Councilwoman Freeman.
Here.
Councilman Perticone.
Here.
Councilwoman Romeo.
Here.
Councilman Weiner.
Here.
Supervisor Sealy.
Here.
And attorney for the town.
Here.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the board meeting. A few general things. This is probably the last month we require masks at our board meetings. Yay. If you are talking at the podium or on the dais, you're welcome to take your mask off. That is your personal choice. If you're not vaccinated, we would ask that you keep it on, although we won't verify that, so that's your own decision. We can get into that at a future date, but for now, mask on unless you're talking. A few housekeeping matters. We have two public hearings actually starting at 7:35. The first of which is with regards to our proposed 2021 Community Development Block Grant Plan. And the second one is on a matter related to a rezoning application for the Somerville neighborhood. If you haven't signed up yet already, please do so. You certainly can sign up after, at any time, or address the board on the hearings if you have not signed up. But the sign-up sheet is there, and it gets you first priority. With that, Ms. Vecchio, it's upstairs. So the first order of business is put on hold. So for now, we can actually go to the financial report. Comptroller Marsh.
Thank you. The 2021 financial results for the town as of April 30th. Total expenses, actual as well as encumbered, are $13,389,000, or 35.5% of budget, which is higher than the 33.3% of the year that has elapsed. The breakdown is actual expenses, $10,553,000, and encumbered expenses, $2,836,000. Encumbrances represent 7.5% of expenditures as departments establish and commit to commodities, services, and supplies that will be needed during the year. The general fund expenses are above budget at 34.9%, or $8,058,000. The breakdown is actual expenditures, $6,639,000, and encumbrances, $1,419,000. In aggregate, the expenses in the highway funds are $2,076,000, or 36.6% of budget, above the 33.3% of the year that has elapsed. Encumbrances account for $778,000, or 13.7%, and include fuel, salt, paving materials, and equipment parts. Expenditures in the library of $1,001,000 are 37.9% of budget. The sewer fund expenses are 37.1% of budget, equating to $1,532,000. Actual expenditures total $1,130,000, or 27.4%, and encumbrances of $402,000 account for the remaining 9.7%. The expenses in the stormwater drainage total $278,000, or 30.9% of budget. Actual expenditures are $168,000, or 18.7%, while encumbrances total $110,000. Expenses excluding encumbrances for the town, as well as the three major funds, are less than the percent of the year that has elapsed. 33.3% of the year has elapsed, and the actual expenditures percentage, exclusive of encumbrances for the town, is 28%. The general fund is 28.7%. Sewer fund is 27.4%, and the collective highway funds 22.9%. The general fund revenue has received $13,330,000, or 59.4% of budget. At the end of April, the town has received $11,799,000 of real estate tax, 100% of the budget. 61.2%, or $163,000 of pilot payments have been received. Recreation has verified $192,000 revenue, equating to 51.4% of budget. Regarding the entire town, $25,710,000, or 69.6% of revenue and appropriated fund balance has been received to date. Approximately $18,135,000 of the amount received is real estate tax. At month end, the library has received $2,560,000, or 96.8% of its budgeted revenue. Cumulative highway receipts of $4,428,000 have been documented, representing 79.5% of budget. The sewer fund has received $4,062,000, or 99.6% of that fund's budget. 97.4% of stormwater drainage fund receipts have been received, totaling $867,000. This concludes the financial report for the month of April 2021.
Thank you, Madam Comptroller. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to accept the financial report for
Moved.
May 2021. So moved by Mr. Pertico, and a second.
Second.
Mr. Wayner, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Financial report is accepted. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of fanfare. I'm going to ask the board members to join me up at the podium. We haven't been here in a while, so we're just going to have a little fun. So first of all, thank you, Madam Comptroller. I didn't mean to use you as filler for that, and the financial report is good wherever it lies in the meeting, but I did forget the gift for tonight, and thank you to Ms. Vecchio for running to get it. Did that pretty smoothly, I thought, though, right? No one knew what was going on. But so it's great that we're back here, because we do a lot of recognition of people. We able to celebrate things normally at the beginning of our meetings. Sometimes that's the highlight of the meeting, and the rest of the meeting is not a celebration, but at the beginning, we're able to recognize achievements of residents. We're also become a lot more adept at recognizing the achievements of our staff. And it's become a tradition here, not just for the staff that works here, we recognize them through our staff spotlight, but also we've made a commitment to, when unfortunately we lose members of our team who go off to other opportunities to retire, we want to make sure that the people of our town are aware of their contributions. And there's people probably tuning in from home right now, and it's actually something people take for granted in Irondequoit, in that we're a town, people in Irondequoit might just think every town has a video production and, the equivalent of C-SPAN, where they don't have to come to town hall and have all this access. It's actually not the norm. In fact, most towns don't videotape their meetings, don't have any cable access, or kind of minimal on social media. And as a result, it really doesn't allow the public to have access to their government. We benefited for a number of years. To be exact, it was 13 years from the service of someone who not only ran our public access, our digital media, he also ran our IT program for several years. And with that, I'm going to say a few more words about him, but I'd just like to ask Nathan Stone to come up. Please give Nate a round of applause. For many years, Nate was kind of the hidden warrior in the basement. So many things that have happened in this town are because of Nate. And, I think Nate always has prided himself on just staying out of the limelight and, as any public servant, just wanting to get the job done. Again, I'll speak virtues to everything that Nate did, but he basically built our cable access to what it is today. We were the first town to have any social media. We still have the highest social media presence probably of any town in, I think, Monroe County. Our broadcast is second to none of the area. We film various events. We get asked to film events. We do public service announcements for a variety of people. All of that is a derivative of Nate's achievements and what he's contributed to this. And in addition to that, Nate is such a great public servant. About 3 or 4 years ago, we had a vacancy in our IT department. And the last 3 years he was here, in addition to all of his other things he was doing, Nate ran our IT department as well, which for a town of 220 full-time employees is no light task. And Nate's a resident. He didn't grow up in Irondequoit, but we've adopted him as one of our own. He has two beautiful children. Moved over to recently, and still lives in Irondequoit. We're glad with that because of that. He's taken an opportunity, doing some great things to work in the county now to help make sure that people are aware of the various things going on in the county. And I remember when County Executive Bello told me he was not purging Nate, but offering Nate an opportunity. He then expressed how quickly he needed Nate to come over because you had vaccinations coming up and a need to inform people. He understood what Nate brings to the table, and basically asked if he could have Nate tomorrow. I held on a little bit longer, but anyone who has Nate recognizes what an asset he is. In addition to that, he's about the nicest person you'll ever meet. My staff, I can see looking back there, is probably getting teary-eyed because I'm sure they miss Nate a lot. He was a very special part of our team. He came here when he was about 13 years old. But not far off. But Nate, I'm just gonna. This is about the least we can do. But I just want to hand you this plaque. The Arundecoit Town Board hereby recognizes Nathan Stone for his 13 years of service to Arundecoit Town government and commitment to providing transparent and accessible government to the people of Arundecoit. Awarded on this day, your date of retirement, February 5th, 2021. So please give Nate a round of applause, Nate Stone. And now what might actually be a first to something he watched many people do poorly in his 13 years here. Nate is now going to take the podium and address the audience. So Nate Stone.
Dear Lord. As the supervisor said, and anybody that knows me, I much prefer to be behind the camera than in front of the lens. But if anything I learned in over 500 meetings here at the town, it's that there's beauty in brevity, so I will be as short as possible. Obviously, thank you to Supervisor Seeley and the town board, Maria Vecchio, for this recognition. It's incredibly unnecessary, but so very appreciated, so thank you. As I was reflecting on, my career here, it's retiring, but I'm still like at least 30 years away from that, but I'm sure it'll hopefully go quick. I had a unique opportunity to sit through thousands of hours of planning board and town board and zoning board and parades and public information meetings as a town of Arundecoit resident. So to see the town in which I live in such a way that I honestly don't think that there's any other resident that has the same opportunity as me, to see the good that exists in this town, to see the people here that are so incredibly invested, that are actively participating in their government. You don't see that elsewhere. When I'm in the county, people hear that I worked for the town. They're like, oh my God, like you have people show up to your meetings. You have people that care, and good, bad, or indifferent as a town employee, it's nice that our residents care. And I got to see residents helping one another and stepping up for small businesses in the area and neighbors when they're called to action. So it's been wonderful to be able to see that. And most importantly, it's been my job to show off the good work that happens in these walls and across the parking lot and next door and down the road, and show off to the town of Arundecoit the good stuff that happens. So I'm incredibly lucky to have the colleagues and coworkers and friends that I did here and will carry forward. I noticed that I actually, more than a third of my life has been spent working here, and you guys have seen me as a college student, as a new husband, a young father, and a widow, and all of that, the good and the bad, you've been by my side, and I can't thank you enough. So a little anecdote, and then I will wrap up because I said I'd be brief, and I couldn't memorize this, but Parks and Rec, one of my favorite TV shows. For those that don't know, it's about a recreation department in the fictional Pawnee, Indiana. And in the last episode, the main character, Leslie Knope, says, "When we worked here together, we fought, scratched, and clawed to make people's lives a tiny bit better. That's what public service is about. Small, incremental change every day." Teddy Roosevelt once said, "Far and away the best prize that life has to offer is a chance to work hard at work worth doing." And I would add that what makes work worth doing is getting to do it with people you love. So thank you to my colleagues and to the town board and to the supervisor for letting me show off the good work that you do, for tolerating me for 12 years, and for making the work that I did worth doing. So, in the words of Dave Seeley, in the words of Congressman Morelli, Godspeed.
Can someone volunteer from our staff to take a picture, just so we can, I haven't seen Nate's, yep. You can take one.
Megan's trying to get out of the shot. Everybody looks great. Thank you.
Okay, that's a tough act to follow, so we're gonna do our town audit now. So I'm gonna ask Randy Shepard from Bonadeo to come up, and every year we work with Bonadeo, who does a circular audit of the town's financial statements from the year before. Bonadeo spends several weeks upstairs scrutinizing the work of our comptrollers to make sure that our books are good, and we're happy always to receive the good and honest news and the upfront news. So the floor is yours, and board members should have their presentation here, so we don't have to move downstairs. So, Randy.
Thank you. Nate, I think I liked you better when you were back there, because that's a tough act to follow, so. All right, so thank you very much for having me tonight. We are going through, we did review this, obviously, in two different formats. One was with the audit committee in great detail, then last week with this group in kind of the workshop session. So we'll review this again right now. I think Diana's got the slides up there for me. And, one thing to note, we are here pretty much a month earlier than we have been in the past. So, that's another good thing to note. We were able to finish the audit process much quicker, which is a testament to everything. Diana's team, as well as all the team here at the town, helping us out through that process. So we appreciate that. So our responsibility, as it relates to the audit, is essentially to form an opinion and provide an opinion as to whether the statements are fairly presented. And we do consider internal controls as a basis for designing our procedures. And we also would communicate those matters to the town board. And our audit doesn't relieve you of your responsibilities, but what it does is help you discharge those responsibilities in a certain way. And most importantly, the second to last bullet there is our audit is considered an unmodified or clean audit opinion. That's the level of assurance, the highest level of assurance we can give. And so that's what you're looking for. And we did not identify any matters requiring reporting to the board. So no deficiencies that are significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. So that's a very good sign. On the next slide, we're talking about essentially the governmental activities of the town. This is what I like to say in this slide is if you were to be compared with a for-profit or non-profit, a traditional type of business enterprise, this reflects all of the town's assets and liabilities. And this here represents the net equity in the town. You've got about 41 million invested in your capital assets. You've got about 10 million, just under 11 million restricted net position for reserves, appropriations, etc. Then you do have a large negative unrestricted net position, which to the lay person might seem concerning, but essentially it represents the significant amount of benefits that have been committed both through retirement, through the New York State pension system, as well as other post-employment benefits provided to retirees through healthcare side of it. So a lot of that helps to drive that negative number. They're actuarially driven and they go out years, and as you can imagine, those numbers are significant. When you look at your percentages of revenues, at the bottom, about 64% of your revenue is property tax, general revenues, etc. And then the remainder is about 36% or 14 million. And that percentage did shift a little bit because, as you can imagine, through 2020, a lot of your rec programs, charges, were down significantly. So that percentage shifted a little bit for you. On the next slide are your governmental funds. This is where you normally review your activity at the fund level. This is what governments traditionally monitor and manage and report on a monthly basis. You've got about 600,000 of non-spendable fund balance, and that just represents fund balance that is in prepaid form. You've already, the money's already left the building or in inventory. There's the restricted number, which is identical to the other slide. Assigned fund balance is the piece that you've put forth towards the 2021 budget. And then your unassigned fund balance, again, is a negative. And I've subscripted that just to point out that as you fund for capital projects on a short-term basis, those represent liabilities to the town as opposed to revenue. So there's going to show as a negative number there in fund balance. When you turn that into a long-term debt, when you bond that long-term, that will bring proceeds into the town, and that number will reverse to a positive number. So again, nothing to be alarmed about there. The next slide is just a quick 3-year history, kind of seeing where the town is over the past 3 years. Normally your financial statements are single year, so sometimes it's nice to see it in this format. Total assets, you can see 27 million on the past 2 years and down to 24 million. Really a function of the cash side of things as you're spending money down towards projects. And on the liability side, really relatively consistent, 29, 28, and 29 million respectively. And there at the bottom you can see where your fund balances are, which we talked about a moment ago. In the next slide are your revenues and expenditures. Excuse me, again, over the same 3-year period. Really relatively consistent, 41.5 at the end of this year. Expenditures about 45 million, so down slightly for the year. And fourth line up from the bottom, you can see 3.9 million change in fund balance for the year, and that was expected in terms of how you operate. There's a few other graphs that are in here. The first one of which just shows your revenue versus budget. So the orange line is your actual, and when you're talking about revenues, it's always good to have your orange line higher than the blue line on the budget side. You can see over the past 3 years, you've been able to exceed that budget. I know some of that has to do, in large part because sales tax is one of those, uncertain revenue sources, and you don't want to budget that too high. But yet again, still a positive place. Looking at expenditures, it's in the reverse as you would expect or would hope. Budgetarily, the blue line there it exceeds the orange line for actual. And this year, really, when you did your budget, there was a lot more expenditures that you thought you'd have in different areas, and they were down a little bit in 2020. And Diana, we can actually skip to the last slide here, which just talking a little bit about the American Rescue Plan, all the way at the end, as you figure out how to do that with the mouse. So, as you know, your preliminary allocation from the funding through Biden's plan is about 22.8 million. I know you applied for the funding in terms of filling out the paperwork and the application. So any day now you should receive 1/2 of that first payment, which is coming in 2 tranches. The second one will come about 12 months later. And the uses of those, while we finally do have a little bit more guidance on that, we're in the process of digesting that. It's about a week old right now as we go through it. The 4 major sources are revenue losses, and there's some prescribed formats in terms of how you define your revenue loss. You can use it for water, sewer, and broadband type projects, assistance to small businesses or households, which I know you're looking at in terms of that process, and then premium pay for essential workers are the primary uses from that. So with that, I'd be happy to address any questions the board might have at this time.
Thanks, Randy, and we always a little different this year with that slide regarding the American Rescue Plan, and obviously we're figuring out best uses for that, what's a qualified use. Nice to see the increase to the fund balance, especially I think it demonstrates last year our fiscal kind of restraints in that we actually ended the year cash positive about $2 million, so combination of the conservative revenue expectations, but also just conservative budgeting on the expenditure side. And that first slide is always a little alarming just with our net position, and I know that someday, maybe after you and I retire, we'll have to be accounting for those long-term liabilities, but seeing them there nevertheless is a reminder of just the need to control and be sustainable on our end in government, and it kind of helps remind us every year the need to show some restraint as we look to the future. Any questions from the board?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you, Andy.
All right, sir.
Have a good evening.
All right, with that, we can now move on to public input. Carrie, do you mind bringing up the public input clipboard? And for those folks who have joined late, if you're here for the public hearings, they start at 7:35. If you haven't signed up, certainly you're not required to sign up. It just gives you first priority. We are going to do public input first. Carrie, has anyone signed up for public input?
Yes.
Okay, I'll just. So I see one person signed up for public input, but it expresses regard for the rezone. So if that's with regard to the rezoning, Mr. Gaefel, we'll have you up first or second in the public hearing. Is that unless that you had a different rezone you were? That's okay. No, I know it's. So with that, would anyone? So I know we have probably a lot of people here for the hearing that's taking place at 7:35, 36 after our CDBG hearing. If anyone has any other issue they want to talk to the board through public input, they're welcome to do so now. Okay. With that, we can move on to the approval of minutes. Madam Clerk.
April 13th, 2021, the workshop meeting.
Motion to approve.
Moved?
And a second.
Second.
Questions or concerns? T's not crossed, I's not dotted. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved.
April 20th, 2021, regular town board meeting.
Motion to approve.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Questions, comments, revisions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved.
April 29, 2021, the special town board meeting.
Motion to approve.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Questions, comments, revisions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Madam Clerk, we can now go to item for board action number 3 under appointments.
All right, item number 3, authorizing the reappointment of an ethics committee member.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. This first resolution would approve the reappointment, of Maria Vecchio to serve on our Ethics Committee. Our Ethics Committee is responsible for reviewing the financial disclosures from town officials to determine if there's any conflicts of interest. That is one of their primary responsibilities. They have other responsibilities, but that's their annual duty to serve the town. This would reappoint Maria Vecchio, who is a representative of our town staff on the board. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Thought you were going to introduce her. Item number 4, authorizing the appointment of an ethics committee member.
Motion to adopt. Moved. And a second.
Second.
Thank you. This would appoint as a resident member to the Board of Ethics Jennifer DeVoe, who is a well-known attorney and served in a number of public roles throughout government throughout her life, and we're grateful she's accepted our offer to serve on the Ethics Committee. Any questions or comments? I don't see Ms. DeVoe out here, but thank you, Ms. DeVoe, for serving on this. No further comments. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 5, authorizing the appointment of a part-time nutrition aide.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Hall, an explanation, please?
Thank you. Yes, this position is a part-time nutrition aide that serves in our senior services department to serve our daily lunch program to our seniors. And as we look to hopefully reopen in the next few weeks, we're looking to bring this person on board. Gail, we are looking to bring Gail on board, and she brings with her, a lot of customer service experience. She's a resident, and she's very excited to start working with this population.
Thank you. Again, this would appoint Gail Tucker to the position of nutrition aide. I just want to point out that the board member should have received an amended agenda item with an updated wage of $14.50 for the position. And thank you, Ms. Romeo, for advancing that amendment. And we're grateful to bring Ms. Gail Tucker aboard in the position of nutrition aide. Any questions or comments? Katrina, is Ms. Tucker here?
She's not here
She's
this
not. Okay,
evening,
she's
no.
watching at home. Congratulations, Gail. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 6, authorizing the appointment of a seasonal laborer.
Motion to adopt.
Move.
And a second.
Second.
Mr. Kylie, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This resolution would authorize the onboarding of Frank Polito to a seasonal position within the Department of Public Works down at the Arundequoit Bay State Marine Park.
Thank you. And as board members know, we've adopted a policy of improving all seasonal hires in addition to all hires. These normally wouldn't have gone through the board, but in the interest of transparency and oversight, board members now approve such appointments. This would appoint Mr. Frank Polito as a seasonal laborer to the Department of Public Works. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 7, authorizing the appointment of a recreation leader.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Ms. Hall, explanation, please.
Yes, this individual is Joseph Battaglia that we'd like to advance to the board for the position of recreation leader. Specifically, he would work in our youth and family division, overseeing camp and our McAvoy parks and facilities, booking those and working with the athletic field organizations. He has worked with the town since 2017, and he has done a wonderful job running our very successful summer camp at Camp Eastman, and we feel that he will be a good fit to continue on our team as we grow.
Thank you, Ms. Hall, and Mr. Battaglia has done good work in our department, and definitely glad to be appointing him for this promotion as we look to continue to expand what we offer from our Department of Recreation to our residents. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. I don't see Mr. Battaglia here. I'm sure he's watching at home as well.
He's actually running a youth tennis class
Running
for
a
us,
tennis
so.
class. There you go. He's working on stuff. Madam Clerk, if you will, just point of, I'd like to revert to resolution number 22, if possible.
All right.
Thank you. Take your time.
Item number 22, authorizing agreements with Rochester Gas and Electric Corporation for the purchase of street lighting facilities.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. I call this resolution up because it requires explanation from town attorney who's worked diligently on this. She actually has a role in her real life to administer the Penfield school board elections, so she's dual role, so might have to leave before we were able to get to this. So, Madam Council, a explanation, please?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This particular resolution would approve two different contracts with RG&E for the purchase and the steps we needed to take to operate streetlights within the town. The thought behind this is that you'll be able to install LED lighting, which will be both environmentally friendly and also offer, over time, a cost benefit to the residents. So these two agreements, one is for the actual purchase of the lights. The second is for how the town will be able to attach to RG&E's poles.
Thank
the
you.
Steps needed.
Thank you, Council. And I know that Commissioner Kiley's also worked on this, and just basically the department would be responsible for maintaining the lights or working with contracted services to maintain the lights, and Bob was pretty diligent in ensuring we had an agreement with RG&E that was in the town's best interest. So, Bob, anything to add?
You summarized it well, Supervisor.
Yeah, so this is the second resolution we've taken up on this, and just so the residents here and tuning at home, this is a very good opportunity for the town. We're acquiring our lights from RG&E and retrofitting them with LED. From day one, it will be cash positive for the town under a program established by the New York Power Authority. Very excited about this. We won't be paying those large maintenance fees to RG&E, so something that's not costing us any more money and really is budget neutral. Is really those over 2,000 lights in our town now will have environmentally friendly LED lighting that provides a better light as well, smart lighting that we can control. Some other municipalities have done this and it's been a very effective program. So now this is really putting the stake in the ground to do this, and I'm happy we're one of the first towns in Monroe County to move forward with this. Any questions or comments from the board?
I just want to say that I am very happy that we will be able to provide this for our residents. Kudos to all those from DPW as well as our town attorney for all the hard work on this. This is very impressive, and I can tell you that a mother of a young son who wants to be an electrician and electrical engineer, this was like the coolest thing I brought home from the town board for him. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilwoman Freeman. Note a lot of people have asked two things. Will they be able to request streetlights? Yes, we will. We do have a process for that we work. We used to facilitate with RG&E, and the town will be responsible for facilitating those and informing the residents of their obligations under that. And it doesn't happen for free, but there is a way to do it in a manner that it can be financed by the residents living in those lighting districts. The other thing too is if you do have this isn't just for the Cobra lights, this is for our decorative lights as well, which are a little bit more labor intensive, but we made sure that was really what we had to work out with RG&E. So this will be all the street lights in the town of Arundequoit under this program. Hearing no further questions, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted. Okay, Madam Clerk, we can call up our hearings now.
All right. Public hearing number 1 on the matter of adopting the Arundequoit 2021 Community Development Block Grant Program.
Okay, I'll take a motion to open the public hearing.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. Annually, the town of Arundequoit, as an entitlement community, receives several $100,000 from the federal government as part of the Community Development Block Grant program. And for those of you who know what our population is, it hovers right around 50,000. It's actually very important because being above 50,000 keeps us as an entitlement community and allows us to get, I want to say unrestricted aid, but a block grant from the federal government that allows us to invest in several very worthwhile initiatives in the town. The intent of this is to help areas of the town and residents of the town who are low, moderate income by either investing in the the infrastructure of those communities or providing services to help provide economic opportunity, eradicate blight, homeownership improvements, etc. We've worked with LaBelle Associates, Barb Johnson, for a number of years to put a program together. We have probably a more vigilant public input process. We do 2 public hearings annually. I'm gonna take this off because how we do this as a process is we solicit applications. Some are from town departments, other are from not-for-profits that want to administer services on behalf of our residents. We then hold a citizen review afternoon where we have a citizen panel that listens and vets all of the proposals. I know Ms. Barnum, who's in the audience, has participated in this year. Kim Uromi, our councilwoman, sat, and you really get to hear all the good things that take place through this program. They include a home ownership improvement program, housing counseling for people to prevent from entering into foreclosure. We do early intervention to help them with some pre-foreclosure services, an elder care program. We do a lot of our street resurfacing through this program. This year we've advanced sidewalk repairs and street tree planning as part of this. We have a very progressive senior transportation program that's done with Lifespan. It's allowed us to invest in our Arundequoit Community Cupboard to help them with their weekend backpack plan, and also helps us make investments in our parks and playgrounds this year, particularly Bateau Park. Before the town, and as was approved for the public hearing and for the community's consideration, is $906,128 worth of programming. No more than 15% of which can be for administrative. I'm very happy and pleased to advance this. I want to thank all the stakeholders who came forth, and board members have had this to review. And we didn't have anyone signed up for the program. It was posted last month. But if anyone wishes to address the board on the Community Development Block Grant Program, you may do so now. Hearing or seeing none, I'll take a motion to close public hearing. And a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing is now closed, Madam Clerk. Item for board action number 1A, please.
Resolution adopting the Arundequoit 2021 Community Development Block Grant Program.
Motion to adopt.
Move.
And a second. Second. Thank you. As the clerk said, this would approve the adoption of the 2021-22 Community Development Block Grant Program for the town of Arundequoit. Any questions or comments? And it's always good to adopt this because it really does directly help a lot of people in our town. So we're grateful to all the people who helped make that happen, to Comptroller Marsh for administering it along with Barb Johnson. So another good program for the year. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Public hearing number 2 on the matter of rezoning tax ID numbers.
Motion to open public hearing. And a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, the public hearing is now open. A few things while the applicant's getting set up. Actually, sir, if you don't mind, I'm just going to ask our Director of Development just to provide some context, and then we'll ask you to come forth. Thank you, though. So we have before the board a application for us to consider to rezone several parcels in the Somerville neighborhood from R1 residential to C business district to R1 and C business to waterfront development district. Ms. Ivers is going to explain exactly what that means. I just want to say from the onset a few things. Many of you probably received a postcard, I hope, informing you. We actually go above and beyond what's required as far as notification. We do a pretty broad radius. So our goal with this is always to make sure people are aware of what's happening with regards to these rezoning applications. We have to accept an application to rezone. It's pursuant to state law. So here we are, and the applicant has come forward. It's our job to now consider it with community input. What I will say a few things is we look at a variety of components with regards to rezoning. We look at its impact to the neighborhood. We also look at its congruence with the town's comprehensive master plan, which was adopted in 2014. What I will say is what we never do is consider the rezone the night of the meeting. Our goal tonight is to listen and then to take feedback in the interim period. The earliest we would ever consider approving the rezone would be next month. Sometimes it goes further out. The board wants to make sure we're taking thorough public input and hearing resident concerns. Just ask that you would direct comments to the board, not to each other. We're always very good about being civil. Mr. Stone set the table for our good record of civil discourse that he's witnessed over 500 times in this room, and I'm fully confident in our residents' ability to continue that. So with that, I'm going to ask our Director of Development, Ms. Ivers, just for an explanation on the application.
So the application is to rezone 3 parcels that are outlined in the description of the resolution. They're mostly tax IDs, but in the vicinity of 91 Somerville. This would allow for waterfront development district to be designated for this area, and that would allow for the property owner to move forward with what they're referring to as a mid-size or a mid-density residential development. It would be 4 2-unit buildings located on those parcels. And the applicant has provided a conceptual plan to show what they might look like layout-wise. However, this board is only going to be taking up the potential for rezone that would allow development to move forward. If the rezone would be permitted or authorized, the project would then be subject to planning board review for site plan and subdivision. Additionally, there would be potential other board reviews if variances were needed. But the waterfront development district itself allows a wide range of uses. Multifamily residential is one of them. It also allows for mixed use and for higher intensity uses in areas where that's allowed. In addition, it does provide a lot of flexibility and leeway with the planning board in terms of overall design requirements and site layout.
And Ms. Ivers, the job of the board is not to review site plan and layout, correct?
Correct. You're tasked with determining whether or not the proposed zoning change can go forward.
Thank you. And waterfront development district, is that just exclusive to this part of town, or is it?
So waterfront development district, you'll find it in a couple of spots in the town. The town of Arundequoit actually has 3 separate waterfront development style districts. There's the waterfront district, which is located in the Newport area. There's a small weird parcel in the middle of Seabreeze Amusement Park. Then we have a LaSalle's Landing, which is also a waterfront district, but it's separate and has separate regulations. And then beyond that, we have River Harbor District, which is its own designation as well. They all have similarities in terms of the fact that they allow multifamily development, mixed use, and a wide range of water-dependent and water-related types of development.
Very good. Okay, thank you, Ms. Ivers.
I have one question.
Go ahead, you can ask that.
Why was this parcel originally commercial?
So the one portion there, it's actually consistent with the area on where St. Paul bends toward the end, toward the westage. Most of the parcels along that area front on St. Paul are Zone C business to allow for neighborhood style development in that area. So there's a grill, there's some other smaller establishments, and that's the other thing to note. That is when the comprehensive plan and weighing this proposal for a rezone against the goals and stated objectives of the comprehensive plan. That is the legal basis for any zoning changes that get made.
Thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Ivers from the board? Okay, with that, I'll let the applicant come up and introduce himself. Again, folks, I'm sure a lot of you did not sign up but would like to address the board. We'll make sure everyone who wants to speak has an opportunity to do so. We'll call up the people that have signed up, and then certainly we're here as long as we need to be to get public input. If the applicant, after people have addressed the board and people have exhausted their public input on this hearing, the applicant can elect to come back up and provide clarity to perhaps things or questions that were asked to the board as well. But again, there will be no decision on the rezone tonight. Sir, if you don't mind just introducing yourself, your name, and your affiliation with the project.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and board members. My name is Mark Kostic. I'm with Kostic Engineering. With me tonight is the project developer, Steve Lavazetta, as well as one of my project managers at Kostic, Evan Gaffel. So the project name is Somerville's on Third. What we are here for has been stated by staff and by the supervisor to look at a zoning amendment to go from R1, which is the zoning that is currently there, and business, which is the portion to the south to a waterfront development. The use for the waterfront development that we are proposing, and it's been stated also that this is not site plan, but what we are thinking is for residential, and that would be for townhouse-style buildings that would contain a total of 8 units. The parcel is located off what was at one point 3rd Street, that is no longer a dedicated road. There is access to the parcel through an access easement. The address of the parcel for reference, or is referred to as 91 Lakefront, and it totals with the 3 parcels that we're talking about 1.2 acres. Again, just a little bit about what we would envision for site development, just to give you a taste, although we'll be back if we are successful in rezoning in front of the planning board to go through all this in great detail. But there would be 4 buildings. The buildings would be a lower level garage with 2 living levels above, a flat roof. They would be separated buildings such that there's 2 units connected. They would be located on a private drive. The closest the units would be to the lake is about 120 feet, so there's substantial distance away. For people to understand where this is, if you look at Westage, there's the garage on the east side of Westage that lines the property, right on the property line. This parcel is 100 feet immediately east of those garages. Some other planning issues with the flooding that's taken place. We have been in correspondence with DEC about the lake levels and that, and we have talked to them about potentially some development of some stone similar to what's been done throughout, and we're actually moving that away so that we think we've been in contact as late as today that we won't even need permits to do what we need to do, so that will be a benefit.
Oh, those are famous last words.
Well, yeah, yeah, that's true.
Not from us, by the way.
Right. Well, the intent is always avoidance.
I understand.
If we can avoid things, that's the best way to do it with those state agencies.
Yes.
What we're asking for is the amendment to go to waterfront development. We feel that that's very much appropriate because to our west is Westage, which is an R5 zoning, and that allows up to 20 units per acre, which is a very, very high density zoning district. And then the R1 is a 4.5 unit per acre zoning, or 9,600 square feet per lot, which is what we currently are. The waterfront development would allow us up to almost 11 units per acre, but we are proposing a development that will be put forth if the zoning is approved at about 6.6 units per acre. So we consider it to be a low to moderate low density. We do feel that what we're proposing is very much consistent with the LWRP. If you look at that document, it has called out this area.
Mark, can you just specify what the LWRP is?
Sure, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Local Waterfront Revitalization Program, which is a document that municipalities along the waterfront file with New York State, and that is a master plan of development on the water, based in simple terms. And that's a document that the town of Arundecoit was early on in doing and did theirs. And that document does call for this area to be zoned multifamily and to have development. Also, a document in the town that was referred to in the introduction was the comprehensive master plan. And the comprehensive master plan also calls for very few places to be, waterfront areas to be redeveloped, and this is one area where it does call for higher density and redevelopment. So we are consistent in our request with both the LWRP and the Comprehensive Master Plan. Some other issues you want to comply with when thinking about waterfront development, there are some criteria that they put forth and they want to see. You want to be very concerned with the environment, which we are. We are, again, going to stay considerable distance away from the lake. Obviously, with the lake levels fluctuating as they have been and are proposed with Plan 2014, the last thing we want to do is be at the lake and at its mercy. So we are proposing a significant distance away and to construct in conformance with the requirements. We will also, as part of this development, the waterfront development district encourages very much public access. And we are proposing, as part of our plan, there will be a private drive. We are proposing that public access would be, on foot traffic, would be part of our proposal down our roadway that would be proposed as part of the development. So public access would be granted as part of the development. And finally, I think, basically it's a fairly low impact development, low traffic generation, low density, relatively low density, and we think it's consistent with all your town planning proposals. So with that, I guess I'll open it up.
I'll yield to the board. Any questions?
Well,
Go ahead, John.
yeah, what's going to be, you're figuring 8 units, correct?
Yes.
And then what's the square footage of each? They're all going to be basically identical, I'm assuming, right?
That's correct. The footprint is about 1,000 square feet, so two living floor is about 2,000 square feet.
2,000, okay, thank you.
And you're proposing 3 stories with a parking area.
Right, the
parking
lower
deck.
area would be not habitable, but would be for vehicles.
Understood. And I like the graphic you provided, just want to make sure it's accurate. Would the development actually be above the parking garages of Westage? Is it
Yes.
actually sloped upward? Okay,
Yes.
gotcha.
Otherwise, it's a cinder block wall.
Understand this isn't final site plan, but it's good to know what you're considering. Questions any further questions?
Can you
Not
just
at this
clarify
time.
that a little bit more? Is the paved roadway at the roof level of the garages, or is the paved roadway at the paved roadway level?
It's level with the existing ground, so it's not going to be up. It's not going to be elevated.
Right, because the rendering does make it look like the pavement is at the top of the roofs of the.
It's a photo simulation that.
Gotcha. That's the benefit and the risk of photo simulations. They're not exactly to scale.
I understand what you're saying.
Thank you though for that clarification.
And this land is completely vacant right now except for a shed?
That's correct.
Do you know if the land was ever used in any regard? If there were ever properties on there aside the shed?
There were 7 cottages on that parcel south of the sidewalk at one point,
Okay.
but nothing north of the sidewalk.
For the record, a gentleman in the audience said there were 7 cottages along that sidewalk. Thank you, sir.
And I just want to clarify quickly with you, sir, so you're taking what would be a private development and you're going to open that up to some public access on a footpath?
That is correct.
Thank you.
And is there current access for the residents to I'm sure the residents can answer that, but I'll ask you. Is there current access right now to the waterfront?
I have no documentation of current access. There has obviously been some discussion of.
There may be, okay. Understood. Okay, notwithstanding the board's questions, I think we'll excuse you for now unless anyone else on the project wants to address the board. Otherwise,
And the project developer is here to.
sure.
If you have any questions.
As long as he's good, we'll go to the public who has signed up. I'll actually let Mr. Evan Gaffel, if he's here. I'm with the team. Oh, you're with the team? Oh, all right. And you could have addressed us in public input if you wanted. That's all right, Evan. The only person, so again, we only have one person signed up. I'm assuming other people might want to address the board. We do have one person signed up. It's Lori Barnum. Councilwoman Emeritus, who we're graced with her presence. Lori was on our town council for a number of years, so I'm grateful this public hearing has brought her back.
Yes, it's been nice to see everyone.
A little different at the podium, right? Don't yell at us, please. That's karma, right? Okay. Lori, would you just say your name and address for the record? Thank you.
Lori Lacusa Barnum, 195 Parkview Terrace in Somerville. And, so 3 minutes, right? So I just wanted.
Actually, we don't there's no time limit. We encourage 3 to 5 minutes, but just for clarity, there is no time limit for our public hearing. We generally are permissive. If you want to filibuster, that's a different story, but you can take as much time as
Let
you
the
need.
cat out of the bag now.
Thank you. Actually, the access through that pathway right there to the beach, that's actually the path I take. So it's, there is a path that goes through to the beach. And so that's what I was looking for, access, public access. And it's illustrated in their plan through their driveway, and it said it would be monitored too. Not sure exactly what that means, but hopefully probably just to keep it safe and so forth. But you can give someone a path there, but then if you have to build a wall, a break wall, then how do we, we would have to get over the break wall to get to the beach, right? I guess the concern is, so I took the plan, we had a neighborhood gathering last night, and of course everyone's first impression is, oh great, the town needs housing, right? We need, especially for people who are downsizing, so, let's see what it is. But people who lived along that way too said, gee, Westage has a break wall. If construction is there, in coming north of the sidewalk for the first time, I mean, since, well, actually, those sites, those cottages were south of the that they mentioned, were south of the sidewalk, but no one's been allowed to build north of the sidewalk that goes all the way along the edge. To give people access to the beach and to maintain the beach. And this is really an awesome responsibility that we have as town, board members and as community people to protect that, for the future. And so the question is, and some of these might be things that can be answered, but water came all the way up to the cottages that are there now, which would mean it would have gone to where that spot, the construction site is. So if that's an issue, then is there going to be a break wall all the way, continuing Westages, all the way down the lake to protect those other people's properties? And then what happens to the beach? So that's actually, a big question for people who I talked with, and for myself as well. And once construction is allowed north of the sidewalk, does that sort of, I don't want to say open the floodgates, but, kind of, for construction north of it all the way down, then what happens to the people who are beachfront now? Will people be allowed to build in front of them, or will they be allowed to build, or sell their lots off? Changes the nature of everything. So some things to consider and some questions that, we'd like to have answered, so.
Sure, and at the end of the public input, we'll invite the applicant up to answer any questions that are posed. So hopefully Mark's taking notes. Would anyone else like to address the board? Okay, take your time. This gentleman raised his hand, so just say your name and address. And again, folks, if you do come up, you can remove your mask. I know you've had them on and been good with that. Just say your name and your address, sir.
My name is John Daly, and I live at 402 Westage at the Harbor. I own a 2-bedroom condo, which is on the side of the project that's being considered. So this came at a perfect time for me because I've been having an issue with what they call the sidewalk this woman just referred to. I've been down here at Town Hall many times and have never gotten a straight answer on, I've heard stories that it was a railroad walk-away and a right-of-way and whatever terminology they use, I don't know. But I have a dog, and I have to take it off Westage property to go to the bathroom. And I'm getting older, and my ability to walk is getting less. So I use that pathway to walk my dog. So the town doesn't seem to have any straight answer on whether my question was, am I allowed to walk my dog up and down that pathway, because the neighbors that live there don't appreciate it. just by what I've run into, because whether I'm maybe a single man walking through there or whatever their perceptions are, or maybe people never really use it. But I walk my dog, and now what I find in there is they put up invisible fencing across that walkway. So I'm walking through there. There's two families there that have, estates, beautiful homes, but they have invisible fencing from their back door across that sidewalk all the way down somewhere close to the beach. So of course, when I walk my dog, their dogs come running out, and I got a little 7-pound dog, so I really feel defensive. But I want to make sure that that walkway is going to stay with this project or not. That was one concern. But the town needs to give better, because Westage works on you have to take the dog off the property, and because of the way 3rd Street is cut, they claim to own all of it. And no matter what the town tells me, they tell me, no, we own it. They own, and I have it in writing, that the management company said they own from the sidewalk, the green grass, and the curb in the front of the condos, which is public. I know that's not true, but they claim to own it. Therefore, my dog and I can't go on it because it's considered their property. And they threaten to fine me all the time. And the same with 3rd Street, along that fence where this property is a right-of-way. And they also claim that as their property because they mow the grass, apparently. So one is I need that cleared up, whether I have a right to walk down that sidewalk or the right-of-way, whatever that is, because I have no way of seeing it. And secondly, Westage at the Harbor has a right to, based on my mortgage, they cannot deny me access to the beach or any of the property, which they've done all the way around. Both parking lots are fenced and locked 24 hours unless they use it for whatever reason. And I can't take my dog into the courtyard, so I have no way of getting to the beach. I went to their general meeting, and when they were building the wall, they got a permit for it, apparently. So I had gotten the mic to talk about, I'm handicapped. I had polio, and my legs are getting worse now where I can't bend my feet. And I've lived there 10 years now. I've owned my property. So I asked the management and the management company at this meeting, when they were building the wall, how is it going to be handicap accessible? Very fair question asked at a general meeting with all the owners there. Our president decided she said to the gentleman there, take the mic away from John, which is me. So they took the mic away from me, and as he walked away from me in the mic, he said, I've never heard of anybody in a wheelchair that wants to go to the beach. So now they have this retaining wall across the property. They're going to build a deck with stairs on it, which isn't going to help me at all. So and I know I'm going on about Westage, but the point is, you can't go along there. You can't, their beach is private. They won't let my dog on it. They won't let me on it. So if we're going to have another community next door, I don't know how that's going to work to be able to walk along the beach, because it's a dead end right there where they're going to build.
We can probably try to provide you some clarity. I don't have an answer for you right now. Some clarity on the first question. Sounds like the second question is a private matter of the property, but we can perhaps provide some clarity to your first question. I don't know. Because for the purpose of this public hearing, it's a little off
Yeah.
topic. And understood. I understand. That's
So
fine.
with the new property, I guess what I'm concerned about is, even if we have a right-of-way through there, which I appreciate, because I don't have that on my own property, where are you going to walk to? Because it'll be dead end at the end of their property. Because we have rocks built out, maybe 40 foot past our garages, and it's just water there. So
The rocks are there as a flood mitigation.
Right, but along the side part,
Gotcha, okay, understood.
they've made it so you can't get on their property on either side,
Okay.
my property.
Perhaps the applicant at the end can address that question, okay?
All right,
Thank
thank
you, sir. Sir, I think you wanted to, just make sure you say your name and your address. Yep,
Excuse me, my back is a little screwed up here.
it's okay, those chairs are real comfortable, aren't they?
My name is C.P. Maloney. I live at 1404 Westage at the Harbor. And I have understood from years and years of living in Arundequoit all my life that that walkway where we're talking about, the street, the lakefront property, the lakefront road actually, is a town deeded, I have to get clarification from the town on this. Is that is that lakefront sidewalk, whatever it is that considered, and you cannot build north of that, I understand. That was the reason that Roger Nelheim, well, going back a few years, but the guy who was at the bend there was not able to build his place that he wanted over that street that goes from lakefront property, as you know.
Okay. I don't have the answer to that tonight, but before the board considers before the considers, Mayor, we'll certainly have questions like that sewn up if there are any town covenants regarding or deed restrictions regarding that are imposed by the town on that property. So we will make sure we iron out any of those and have to make a well-informed decision if we elect to do so. But I can't answer that question tonight. I apologize. Thank you. Anyone? Yes, sir. With the actually, Miss, I think you raised your hand first in the teal shirt. Yes, you.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Katha Pattison. I'm at 151 Lakefront. Environmentally, where they want to build is all woods. Arundequoit has a deer problem, but to build there and displace all these deer, I hope they have a plan of how to catch and release them somewhere safer, because they're gonna go nuts. As it is, we frequently have 17 deer in my yard. As far as the sidewalk, if people understood what it's like to put up with drunks and partiers on the beach, night after night in the summer, high school kids breaking bottles, the beach is a nightmare. But it's well worth it to live there. So therefore, if they're granting public access, I would not buy one of those units and let just anyone come through, especially teenagers that are gonna go down to the beach and drink at night, because that's mainly what they do. And also there's drugs. The boaters are a problem. Same thing, drinking and drugs. They don't care what they throw overboard. They don't care what washes up. They're not very environmentally conscious. So I can't imagine anyone wanting to buy one of those units and live there facing Westage, knowing that all the woods have been cut down, and good luck with your zoning.
Thank you, Ms. Passon. Yes, sir.
Hi, good evening. Bill Lafort with the law firm Trevette Cristo. I represent the Board of Managers at the Westage condominium, which of course is the parcel immediately to the west of the proposed project. I'm really not here to speak either in favor of or against, because really this proposal has just come to the attention of the condominium board. Tonight, we understand obviously it's a public hearing just to get information, and I was very pleased to hear Supervisor Seeley that obviously you're not going to be making a decision tonight, but you're going to give an opportunity for more input. We need some time to review the proposal, perhaps talk to the developer, get some ideas about some things that we may have some concerns about. There may be other residents here tonight from Westage besides John who may want to speak about the project, but I understand the process very well. This is obviously just a rezone. Obviously, we'll have plenty of opportunity to comment on the exact plan itself at a planning board meeting if the rezoning goes through. But I just wanted to introduce myself, and you'll probably be hearing from me again.
Thank you,
And
Counsel.
again, Supervisor, thank you for your agreement, obviously, to continue the public hearing and to have opportunity for further comment.
Of course, thank you, sir.
Ms. Dory, nice to see you tonight.
Yes, miss, since you've been waiting outside, then miss, you can be next. And there, if anyone's outside, I don't know if there's any seats available. Sorry, folks, this is the best we can do with seating. We need a bigger meeting room. Your name and address?
Hi, Lynn O'Brien, 163 Lakefront. My property runs from St. Paul Boulevard to the lake. So if this gets approved, I don't know what would prevent me, because I have an acre, contacting these same gentlemen and asking that I tear down my house, build a pathway through, and build 8 condominiums, or 7 condominiums. Because once you set this precedent, what's to prevent me from doing the same and making a good amount of money? My concern when I look at the map is that it looks like this project owns a tiny, tiny portion of the lake. It's Bob Bryant's lots that wrap all around the building property, and that looks like it has the lake frontage. My concern is what's phase 2 gonna look like. I'm also concerned, and Supervisor Seeley, you've met with me and my neighbors regarding the flooding. When you raise that property level and you add more rocks, we will lose additional beach, just like we did when Westage put out more rocks. It erodes. Because of the dredging, we no longer get natural sand, we only get depleted. They take that sand, which naturally would have flown to us, and they deposit it further down, further east. So we never get sand back. Our taxes get raised, our property gets reduced. And interestingly, I went to the town on Thursday to find out about this project and was told 2 interesting things that came up tonight. The town does not have any right-of-way. The sidewalk no longer exists. You can do what you want with it, was what I was told when I went upstairs. They said that in 2007 or 8, a letter was sent. They also told me I own the beach and no one should be on the beach or in my yard. So I think we all need clarification.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. O'Brien.
Thanks.
Yep. Miss in the back? Good evening.
Jane Nadeau. I live at 169 Lakefront. Also, I'm next door to Lynn. I have also a lot that goes from St. Paul Boulevard to the lake. I just agree with most of what she said. We definitely need clarification as to the right-of-way. We've always considered it a right-of-way, the sidewalk, and we've always considered, our deed says we own to the mean high water mark, so that's what I respect. Her deed says she owns to the low water mark. It's very confusing. But my caution against rezoning is that Westage had to put that break wall in because of the continual flood damage, and they lost their beach because of it. It's ugly. There's no longer a beach there. This place will undoubtedly have to put in the same kind of break wall because it floods. That's the lowest point. Other than West, it'll flood, and they'll need rocks, and then they'll have to block the beach with the rocks. I don't know how they're going to get to the beach if they have a break wall. Scrambling over the rocks is no fun. It's not suitable for development. The reason the houses are far back and there's a prohibition on building north of the sidewalk is sensible. It's because it avoids the flood issue, and you can let the water rise and fall naturally, and there's a pond in the yard, but you don't have to put break walls in, ugly break walls. There should be no development north of the sidewalk, in my opinion, for environmental concerns. You don't continually build in a flood zone. It's just foolish. Thank you.
Thank you, miss. Anyone else like to address the board? Yes, sir.
My name is Tim Sengel, 5 Galwood Drive, Rochester, New York, Arundecoit. What a lot of the people here tonight are complaining about building north of the sidewalk. Kerry Ivers has already approved building north of the sidewalk at the end of Washington Avenue, and the property is in the process of being developed and voiding all right-of-ways, all easements. The builder is has been working on the project since about 2002. So anybody that has any complaints about building north of the sidewalk, see Carrie Ivers.
Sir, I don't need you to address the staff like that, okay?
I'm sorry?
I don't think that's necessary to address the staff like
She's the
that.
building inspector, and she's the
Understood.
one that approves all this building. So if anyone needs more information, see Carrie.
Okay, very
Thank
good.
you.
Anyone else wish to address the board? Yes, sir.
I'm Tom Carosa, the owner of Woodbridge Group Management, who is a subcontractor manager for Westage at the Harbor. The board, I'm sorry?
Oh, yeah. There you go. Don't be afraid of it. It won't bite.
My background is in building, past president of the Home Builders Association and a builder for many years. Westage at the Harbor, at this point in time, probably will, as Bill LaForte said, have some additional input if we continue on, depending on what happens with your board review. One of the things that came up tonight, though, that I think was part of an important segment was public access. 3rd Street is primarily the driveway access into the east building cluster of Westage at the Harbor. There's no clarity at this point in time as to the usage of it, whether there's a formal private driveway agreement or not, or right-of-ways and easements. I'm not certain of that. Westage at the Harbor has been taking care of it for 25, 30 years that our supervisor recalls. That's an on-site individual, so there has to be some clarity to that. There is no reasonable amount of on-street parking there because of the cul-de-sac and because of the Somerville Grill, so I'm not sure, unless there was any ability to have people walk in, there really is not going to be any opportunity for public access. The building issue and feasibility studies and those types of things relative to the actual project, we probably will have some comment on, but I think there needs to be, at least at this point in time, some understanding as to the access and egress to the property just to begin with. And it involves the two owners, that are adjacent to one another and coming off of that private driveway access. I mean, we're treating it as a private driveway, but we need some clarity on that also.
Understood.
That's all I
Thank you.
have to say. Thanks.
Anyone else wish to address the board? We'll leave the hearing open. I don't know if the applicant wanted to have anything to add. I'll just point out that the comment made about staff was actually with regards to a decision made by the planning board. So the planning board made the decision the gentleman was referencing. I think he knows that, but I just wanted to clarify that. Sir?
Thank you, everybody, for your comments. We'll take those and have answers if we don't have them tonight. Just briefly to touch on a couple of them. The revetment that we're talking about would be not a wall. We're proposing and would propose something in the order of rock and stone, and we can consider looking at accessible ways to get through that. So we haven't done that. That would be more of a site planning issue. There's a lot of discussion building north of the sidewalk. We have not taken any position on the sidewalk, or that. I don't think we're blocking or proposing to block it. So we're.
Where is this? Can you just, with regards to the,
Yeah, that's one thing I think that
Sorry.
site map and the
the
survey.
good thing
don't
about
show.
having residents testify is they know the property like the back of our hand. We're looking at and I grew up nearby, I should know this, but thank you.
I'm Steve Labazetta.
Hi, Steve.
Buddy. The sidewalk basically would run pretty much where this.
The first unit.
line is.
Okay. More or less between the
Yeah.
southernmost and the second one,
These were
okay.
the 7 lots I alluded to earlier. There were
they were fit in here, and then this is, one contiguous piece, but this property line pretty much is the sidewalk. And I've always understood that that sidewalk was also an easement for emergency vehicle access to some, landlocked.
Do you mind, thank you. We'll do the best I can here, Dave.
So I've always been led to believe the sidewalk was, an easement, for emergency vehicles to be able to get to some of the, properties that face the water or landlocked between the numbered streets. And, the only way to get to those would have been through that, quote, sidewalk. So there's about a 20-foot wide, easement that is not, we're not proposing to invade that at all. So as far as walking on it, there won't be vehicle traffic unless, God forbid, it's emergency, but, we have nothing to do with changing the easement on that sidewalk.
They're removing the sidewalk.
Can I just ask, for the purpose of public, we can't have people addressing one another, okay, so, no, that's fine.
Let me finish.
Okay, thank you.
So just, I don't want to, get into a lot of detail. There's a lot of discussion about easement right away. These terms are being used very lightly. We've provided the town with some easement information, and I think your council's going to look at that, and that'll proceed, I think, with the people that should be looking at it. But there are some filed documents, and that's really what we base our design on.
Okay.
With regards to people using the property, we're proposing that there be an access as part of a waterfront development proposal, but we're not necessarily saying we're giving up rights. This is private property. So,
would you be giving deeded or just implied access along there?
I think we'd be working that out with the planning board, the exact terminology. I mean, there has been discussion about dogs and about drugs and about drinking and about vehicles. We don't really want too much any of those. What we want to do is provide people a way to use it the way they are right now, and that is walk there. We don't envision people bringing a cooler on wheels, and we don't envision cars. We don't have proposed parking for public access. People to walk there.
Yeah, it's an issue for the planning board, but that's really a gray area that I would think would be very thorny.
Well,
And how to figure it out.
I didn't mean to say that it's not open for discussion,
Yeah.
but it would be a limited, certainly we feel security is a huge issue.
Right.
We want it to be safe. There was discussion about I guess they pretty much revolved around the access and the walls. We're not proposing a wall, it would be a revetment. The Westage revetment did have effect on this property as discussed, so we are moving considerably further back than they proposed, than they are. You can see with the schematic. Their revetment is right at the building. We're proposing to be back over 120 feet.
Okay, thank you for that perspective and scope, or scale.
With that, I think
Okay,
we're all set.
so I appreciate that, thank you for that. So what we'll do, again, the public hearing's kept open. As we always do, we allow the applicant to come forward, and this is gonna conclude, the public hearing for the evening. So I'll make a motion to, conclude the public hearing, keep it open.
One more.
Okay, last one, that's it though, please. Sorry, I'm a stickler for process, but I know you, so I will certainly cannot say no to you.
My name is Rose Novak. I'm president of the board at Westage at the Harbor. I want to address Third Street. It was abandoned in 1993. Town abandoned it. It was split up between 4 residents. Westage owns to the left, Somerville, Bryant, and Rosler owns to the right. The only easement that I know of that was put on Third Street was in 2016 by the town to access sewers, which we allowed this town to give the easement. So as far as any other easements, I've talked to Monroe County, the town, there are no other easements. And so in order to use that road, which is very small, I don't see how how you can put any more traffic on that particular piece of property. And if you look on the map, you'll be able to see when it was abandoned and where the split is. Because when they did, in 2016, when they did the easement, the town did the easement, they recognized the split. So you really need to look at that 2016 map.
Thank you, I appreciate that
Thank you.
perspective. Okay, appreciate everyone's input. Good information from a variety of people. So we're gonna keep the hearing open. I think I just can make a procedural motion to keep the hearing open. We don't need to make a vote to do so. So the hearing will be kept open. People are welcome to stay for the balance of the meeting. I understand if you don't want to stay, we welcome it. All I would ask is, it's a nice night outside. If you are leaving, we do have to conduct the rest of the meeting. It gets a little loud out there, so it's beautiful night outside at the parking lot or the adjacent area, and feel free to stay and enjoy each other's company. We'll take about 2 minutes just to. You good? Yeah. You can do the shift-a-roo. Colin and the righty.
So, you know what I mean? And those two ladies said that their deeds both say different.
I think I got everyone.
I got half.
Good luck. We'll let her introduce herself. Hi, Allison. How are you?
Hi. See you.
Good to see you. Okay, Allison, this is the board.
Hi, everyone. Allison Bartlett. I work with. Hi, Allison.
Hi.
We wondered why somebody was staying here, so.
Yeah. So I'm sure he's watching right now, so I just want to, on behalf of the town, congratulate our normal town attorney, Andrew Dean, on the birth of their second child. Andrew's obviously not here tonight for obvious reasons, but congratulations to Andrew and his wife on their growing family. Allison, where are we on the agenda? I'm just kidding. Madam Clerk, I think we're ready to resume. We can now revert to item number 8 under community development.
Okay, item number 8, calling for a public hearing on the matter of granting a special use permit for 1969 East Ridge Road in a C Business District.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Ivers, an explanation, please.
Thank you.
On this project far away from the water.
Yes, far away from the water. This is a application received by the town board for a special use permit, which is required. The proposed use is essentially a party business, or a party room establishment where space would be available for rent for smaller gatherings. It's being proposed on the south side of the building, meaning on the back side of the building, so it would not be visible from the main road, from Eastridge Road. We're classifying this as assembly space, and therefore it requires a special use permit by the town board. And so this would be setting the public hearing, referring it to the planning board for their comment on the use. They're not proposing any significant changes to the exterior of the building. This is really just an internal change in occupancy that warrants this special use permit through the town board.
Thank you. Just one item,
Oh,
Madam.
and I'm sorry, and I will clarify, there is a very high chance that this project will require a parking variance. We're still finalizing the analysis of that, but we expect that a parking variance would be needed. However, we're wanting them to navigate the special use permit process first.
Okay, and Madam Clerk, I think on the current resolution we have, just want to specify it's be 7:35 PM on the June 15th, just to the board accept that as an amendment to the resolution, 7:35, June 15th. Any questions from Ms. Ivers?
Well, I do, I mean, when I'm looking here, special use permit, it looks like they're gonna lease this for a year, Carrie? Am I
That's my understanding from
So is
the,
that special use permit just for the length of the lease?
so special use permits are granted and they stay with the land. So that would mean that use is allowed, similar to when we have, say, a restaurant with more than 30 seats that requires a special use permit, or one that requires a
That's what I
special.
mean, it's kind of the same.
It stays with the land, and so if the next occupant had a similar business and similar use, they would be able to continue it. If the current tenant were to decide to discontinue the business, the special use permit, I believe, I'd have to verify that.
Okay,
Let me verify.
okay, I was just wondering,
There may be a continuation of use requirement for it to stay,
Stay.
but I'll double check that.
okay.
Carrie, can we condition, I know the applicant in their letter of intent claims there'd be no DJ live band permitted. Can we condition things like that in the special use permit with regards to noise or the type of?
Certainly, so there are operational, I think, and I'll certainly look to the town attorney to provide guidance on sort of performance standards, but things related to hours of operation, provision of security or oversight of the establishment, things along those lines, I think, are within the realm of possibility for condition on a special use permit. It's things that are related to the operation of the business.
Okay. Anything to add? So we'll look to clarity.
Yep. We'll get that for you.
Town council is ready to answer, but put her on the spot right away. So again, this will set the public hearing for next month. Certainly, I think the board, Carrie, might want to understand, and both from town attorney, as to whether or not conditions relevant to whether or not the variance can weigh into our decision for the special use permit, or it has to be isolated from that.
So one of the things that the board would have to do, one of the conditions would be the variance required. So if this board wanted to move forward with a decision and a variance was required, that would need to be one of the conditions, that they are able to
Understood.
achieve the variance needed.
Special use permit condition on the variance would predate the variance, correct?
Correct, yeah,
Okay.
potentially.
Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 9, authorizing an amendment to the formal policy regarding petty cash.
Motion to adopt.
Move.
And a second.
Second.
Controller Marson, explanation, if you will.
Thank you. This resolution will amend the current petty cash policy, which was last amended in 2005. This would allow the addition of petty cash for the purpose of making change at the Recreation Department in the amount of $500 and the Department of Public Works in the amount of $50. Both departments do work with the public collecting fees for services and programs, so it would be a necessity for them to be able to make that change for the residents.
This is board oversight at its finest, but especially at $50 with Lynn and Bob have. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution is adopted. I wish Bonadil was still here to be so proud of us adopting that policy. Madam Clerk.
Item number 10, accepting grant award for school violence prevention grant.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. Captain Jeske, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This resolution, if adopted, allows the Arundecoit Police Department to accept a grant from the U.S. Department of Justice for a school violence prevention program. It is a 3-year grant totaling $206,136. The Arundecoit Police Department would be partnering with Bishop Kearney High School, East Arundecoit School District, and West Arundecoit School District in this venture. This grant is one of 2 awarded in New York State.
Are we on the right? Is this the, okay, I'm sorry, Captain, continue. I apologize. Just want to make sure we're on the right resolution.
Yes, sir. This grant is one of 2 awarded in New York State and only 25 awarded across the country. The grant focuses on 2 specific areas, one being the physical security of school buildings, and the second area is identifying behavioral characteristics to address potential conflicts or violent acts before they occur.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 11, accepting proposals for risk assessment firm and threat assessment and management firm in connection with the Arundecoy Police Department School Violence Prevention Program.
I'm just, so, I might be,
They're two different things.
no, I know, but the explanation, was the explanation prior to this for the current resolution? I think. Okay. So the resolution before us approves the hiring of Blackhawk Emergency Management Group to provide risk assessment advisory services for a fee to not exceed $72,450, and At-Risk International to provide threat assessment and management services for a fee not to exceed $34,300. This is the result of a request for proposals issued by the town in connection with the Arundecoy Police Department School Violence Prevention Program, funded in part by grant funding from the United States Department of Justice. The RIT Selection Committee has recommended Blackhawk and At-Risk to administer these services on behalf of the town, working with the school districts. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 12, declaring surplus items.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you, Captain. I'll save you this one. This is common with other departments across town. The police department is declaring items that I am shocked to believe they no longer need use of as surplus. And Councilman Weiner has not laid dibs on any of them, and as such, they will all be declared surplus upon positive adoption of this resolution. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Thanks, Cap.
Item number 13, adopting a local law relating to the regulation of the Arundecoy Cemetery.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Weiner. Deputy Commissioner McGee, an explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Over the past few months, we've talked about adopting regulations for maintaining and the grounds at the Arundecoy Cemetery. So this resolution would authorize the adoption of that local law. It would establish a new local law within our town code.
Motion, any questions or comments?
Can I make a kind of a side comment?
Sure.
I happened to be down at the cemetery with Deputy Commissioner the other day, and I just have to say how absolutely fabulous the cemetery looked. So shout out to our DPW crews.
Thank you, Councilwoman, and I agree, and as Deputy Commissioner has kind of explained through the public hearing and the introduction of Mr. Gold, this is really to formalize policies. I think one learning lesson we've had in a number of areas is the more the board can approve policies, the better they are etched in stone and I think are affirmed, and it's just a good practice to have. So I appreciate Aaron and Bob for putting this forth, and I think it's a good move to have this etched into the esteemed Arundecoy Town Code. So with that, hearing no further questions or comments, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 14, adopting an amendment to the Town Code Chapter 91 to bar overnight mooring and anchoring of vessels at the Arundecoy Bay State Marine Park.
Motion to adopt?
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Kylie, an explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Over the past 3 months, we have introduced legislation to adopt regulations for the Arundecoy Bay State Marine Park with regard to overnight mooring of vessels at the park itself. As of today, the transient docks are installed on site, and with the adoption of this action tonight, it would be unlawful for any one individual to moor or dock overnight between the hours of 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. at the Arundecoy Bay State Marine Park.
Thanks, Mr. Kylie, and as Bob said, this would allow us, as we're making some very good changes to the Bay Outlet, which are almost done, and some components are up and running. Just allows us to ensure that it's running the way it should, and if necessary, we're enforcing the new flow of traffic. Transient docking is an awesome thing, but we want to make sure that it's transient docking and not permanent docking. So this is a good, I'm glad we were able to get this in, so thanks for the quick action. Local law was introduced last month. Public hearing was held last month as well. And through a yes vote, this will adopt this amendment to Chapter 91 of the code. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 15, authorizing the supervisor to enter into a contract for architectural and engineering services for the Arundecoit Town Hall Master Plan Project.
Motion to adopt.
Move.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Kylie, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Don't be shy of that mic.
It is my pleasure to put forth the legislation this evening to approve the proposal from EDR, Environmental Design and Research, for the Town Hall Master Plan project, the reimagination of the Town Hall campus. The RFP committee consisted of myself, Deputy Commissioner McGee, Director Ivers, yourself, Supervisor Sealy, and Councilman Wayner. With regard to that RFP, we solicited 4 firms, sat down with 3 firms, and EDR's approach to this very exciting project was very refreshing, very genuine, very dynamic and unique. In speaking with their principal this afternoon, EDR certainly shares the enthusiasm to get to work on a project here that kicks off officially tomorrow. It is a project with a very aggressive schedule, as per custom here in Arundecoit, that we seek to provide a community engagement over the next 3 months to see and solicit what our constituency here in town seeks for use out of the remainder of the Town Hall campus. The campus in question, the area in particular being the focus point of this project, is the former Department of Public Works. Obviously relocated post the fire of 2016, there are remnants of the Highway Department in that 6 to 8 acres north of the library, directly east of the police department. So a very exciting project. We're very excited to bring EDR into the fold and get to work with them in this community engagement process. So the Arundecoit residents can certainly look for additional information as it becomes available here very shortly as we seek input on this, again, very exciting project here on the Town Hall campus.
Thank you, Commissioner Kylie. I agree. I want to thank the board for, kind of their support moving forward with this. We can never not have anything to do, so as we're winding down the community center, we're going to be doing this.
I keep busy.
This is great. This is great. I mean, look, I've said all along, you go with the hand that you're dealt, and we've just taken a really bad situation and I think made the best out of it. Not just the best out of it, something that's beneficial for the people moving forward. This is exciting. I'm going to term this the backyard renovation or whatever you want to call it, but it really is our backyard. It's kind of neat to just walk out there every day and think of it as something new, and hopefully think of that god-awful cell tower, which we need. It's not god-awful in its use. It's god-awful where people before me decided to put it. Nevertheless, to think about that being moved to another part of the campus, to think about perhaps that area being cleaned up, and then everything in back of that, which has been this industrial artery running through the course of Town Hall, to be reimagined. And we don't get a lot of blank canvases. This isn't the type of green space other towns get, but I can assure you we're going to put a lot of thought into this and really make it an asset. It's going to make this whole Town Hall work more functional with one another from a traffic and pedestrian point of view. And it's, again, we're going to add to the amenities that we offer as a town, which I think is always our goal here. I will say right now, it looks like largely we'll be able to pay for this with reserve funding. So it's my hope not to have to advance any borrowing for this. I think we can do it. I think we can use a little bit of that ARP money, perhaps relative to stormwater. It's not as wide open in its use, but I think we can look within that to find some avenues to use that ARP federal dollars that our auditor spoke of, and Comptroller Marsh is just waiting to get that money, so she keep it away from me so I don't spend it recklessly. But anyway, I just want to thank the board as well. I know we moved quickly with this, and Bob has done a great job queuing this up. I want to thank Peter for sitting on the selection committee along with Bob, and then Deputy Commissioner McGee as well, and Ms. Ivers as well. Staff really loves this one. Normally, staff doesn't line up to attend RFP interviews, but this one I had to keep them away. So it's nice to see that, and this is exciting, and I look forward to getting the word out there and hearing what people have to think, what they want at dog park. But anyway, so it's exciting, dog park. Any other comments from the board?
Well, dog park, when you look at the amount of land back there, it's almost equal to the amount of land in front of the building, so it's pretty significant amount of
It is, yeah.
dog park.
I just can't even.
Okay, stop. Poor Barb, Barb's wondering what she has to put in the minutes, but, and I agree, that's a good point, Peter.
Hopefully a dog park.
Anyway, dog park, you think about it though, we have this beautiful front of the campus, and I think hopefully by reimagine the whole space, you'll see more. I'm just amazed there's the lack of people that use the campus, the front. It's such a beautiful park-like setting, and I always see people out there enjoying lunch or just picnicking or whatever, and I think why don't more people use it? So hopefully that's going to bring more people to this campus and give us a park that that we really don't have a centralized park. Our one park is Camp Eastman, which is great, but this is, I think, a different type of park that we can explore, so very excited. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. A procedural note, we appointed a member of the Ethics Committee earlier, and she was not in the room. I just want to recognize Maria Vecchio. Maria, would you stand up? Stand up. Oh, that's great. Yoo-hoo! Good job. She actually texted me to say she wanted to be recognized, I swear. All right, let's get.
Item number 16, calling for a public hearing authorizing speed reduction on Allwood Drive from 30 miles per hour to 25 miles per hour.
A motion to adopt.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Perticone. Mr. Carley, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. We received a petition from several residents on Allwood Drive seeking to have the speed limit reduced from 30 miles an hour, which is the town speed limit, to 25 miles an hour, which would be a lineal speed limit on Allwood Drive itself. Again, I think the town of Arundecoit residents know well that several years ago, we lowered the town speed limit from 35 miles an hour to 30 miles an hour. We unfortunately are unable to lower the town speed limit to 25 miles an hour due to state legislation. As such, we move at a capacity to post individual roadways to speed limits lower than 30 miles an hour to 25 miles an hour, and again are unable to lower them lower than 25. So this legislation would call for the public hearing as it's amended in town code to extend a 25 mile an hour lineal speed limit to Allwood Drive. Public hearing would be held at the regular scheduled town board meeting next month.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any questions for the Commissioner? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 17, to abandon the right-of-way near 99 Larkspur Lane.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Kiley. An explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This resolution would officially abandon a town right-of-way pursuant to the meets and bounds attached to this resolution just north of the property at 99 Larkspur Lane. The Department of Public Works is currently conducting an audit of vacant right-of-ways specific to right-of-ways that are unimproved and have been unimproved for a period of more than 8 years. Thus, by default, they are abandoned. As such, you may see myself and the deputy before the board making official actions, abandoning certain sections of right-of-way coming in future months. But first and foremost, we seek to abandon this section of right-of-way, paper street, which is not being constructed nor will be constructed in the future.
Thanks, Commissioner. Any questions on the resolution in chief? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 18, authorizing the acceptance of grant funding from the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York.
Motion to adopt.
Move.
And a second.
Move.
Thank you,
Second.
thank you, Mr. Wayner, with the second. Commissioner Kylie, please explain.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This resolution would authorize your signature on a grant disbursement agreement. The grant disbursement agreement is with the Dormitory Authority, which is the state agency which administers state and municipal grants, legislative grants, if you will, secured through our legislative partners, either on the New York Assembly side or New York Senate side. As such, your signature would be authorized with acceptance of this resolution for the execution of a $125,000 grant for the purchase of police vehicles and a snowplow. This grant was awarded way back in 2018, and the Dormitory Authority is finally moving forward with the administration of these paperwork and these grants.
Thanks. I'd like to thank former Assembly Majority Leader Morelli and now Congressman Morelli for securing the grant, helped us with some cash capital purchases, but as usual, nothing is ever easy in getting the money, so thank you, Bob, Diana, Town Council, Town Attorney, for ensuring we have everything in order to get this grant paid out. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 19, authorizing the supervisor to enter into and amend various contracts with vendors for youth, family, and senior recreational programming for summer 2021.
Motion to adopt?
Move.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Wayner. Ms. Hall, an explanation, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Supervisor. So this is my seasonal resolution where I bring forward our contractors for our programs, specifically for our summer programs that run our youth and family programs as well as our senior services. And these fees are paid, or these contractors are paid through a combination of program fees as well as grant money. All the contracts were in your packet to review.
Thank you. Any questions on the resolution? Always nice to be reminded of our diverse programming that we have, so happy to support this. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Board members, before we move on, board members have in their packets a draft local law to amend Chapter 235 of the Town Code to adopt zoning requirements for tobacco retailer dealers and vapor products dealers. Can I have a motion to introduce that proposed law? In a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Perricone. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the proposed law has been introduced. Madam Clerk, you can call up item number 20, please.
Okay. Item number 20, authorizing the calling of a public hearing on a proposed local law to adopt requirements for tobacco retail dealers and vapor products dealers.
Motion to adopt?
Moved.
In a second?
Second.
Thanks. About 28 seconds ago, Mr. Perticone introduced, the town board approved the introduction of a draft local law adopting requirements for tobacco retail dealers and vapor products dealers. This local law was developed in collaboration with several advocates, including our drug coalition, Drug Free Irondequoit. And one of the primary goal of this is to look at the number of not the number of existing establishments, but really looking to prevent the proliferation of businesses that sell tobacco and nicotine products and vapor retailers that are licensed under state law. Obviously, we've seen over the past decade a number of new ways by which residents of all ages can acquire products that, even if they lack tobacco, contain nicotine and have addicted characteristics. And our goal is to just ensure that we're thoughtful about the continued spread of them. So what this basically does is it looks at proximity to schools, proximity to childcare centers, as well as proximity to existing establishments in order to prevent the oversaturation of such locations. We discussed, we met with the American Heart Association with Drug-Free Arundecoit, had the alternative between a town regulation, the town issuing the town licensor, or zoning. I think zoning can accomplish the goals that we intend to accomplish without creating a lot more red tape and administrative burden. So this will schedule a public hearing at 7:35 on July 20th. We're going to do it scheduled for July 20th because we need review from county planning, which we will forward to them, actually pursuant to the subsequent resolution we are adopting regarding us declaring lead agency. So this public hearing actually will take place 2 months from this in July. And we look forward to feedback from the public and glad we're at least advancing it for consideration. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the resolution is adopted.
Item number 21, declaring intent of the town board to serve as lead agency pursuant to State Environmental Quality Review Act regarding a local law to adopt requirements for tobacco retail dealers and vapor products dealers.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Director Ivers, please explain.
Under the SEQA regulations, this has been identified as a type 1 action, which does require a coordinated review. So this resolution is declaring the town board's intent to serve as lead agency. Once that intent has been approved by the town board, you'll circulate that intent to other interested and involved agencies. And once no other parties have expressed their interest in taking over that job, then you'll be able to declare yourselves lead agent prior to making any decision on the matter.
Here I am pontificating about cutting red tape, and this is no finer example of red tape. But thank you, Carrie. It's not your fault. Thank you, Seeker. Any questions or comments? Again, this will predate the public hearing. Hopefully, predate the public hearing on July of 2021. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? And the resolution is adopted.
Item number 23, calling for a public hearing on a proposed
Madam
amendment.
Clerk, if do you mind, just point of order, board members have in their packets a draft local law that would amend Chapter 164 of the Arundecoit Town Code relating to town property regulations. Can I have a motion to introduce the draft local law?
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. On a motion by Ms. Romeo and a second by Councilman Perdicone, can I have all those in favor of advancing the draft local law, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The draft local law has been introduced. Madam Clerk, if you will.
Item number 23, calling for a public hearing on a proposed amendment to Town Code Chapter 164 to prohibit the use of recreational marijuana, use of cooking grills, and open fires on town property.
Motion to adopt?
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. 23 seconds ago, a local law was introduced, a draft local law was introduced to amend Chapter 164 to prevent the use of recreational marijuana, the use of cooking grills, and open fires on town property. I'll speak to the recreational marijuana, and I'll let Commissioner Kiley or Deputy Commissioner McGee speak to the grills and fires. You know, as the state has approved recreational marijuana, we will be, as a board, looking at, how we want to approach point of sale in the town. At the very least, I'd like to advance for consideration a local law that would prohibit the use of recreational marijuana on town property. If you recall, in 2018, we amended the town code to prohibit the use of tobacco and nicotine products, including vapor products, on town property. And this would basically just add recreational marijuana products to that list of prohibited uses on town property. So wanted to get this done before the busy season, just to clarify perhaps our stance on that.
Sure.
Bob, would you mind explaining the other facet of this
Thank you.
legislation?
Yes, sir. The second facet of this local law would prohibit the use of portable grills on town properties, be it Camp Eastman or the Arundecoit Bay State Marine Park or any other one of our tot lots within the town Further, it also outlines and prohibits the open fires, be it a campfire or bonfire, unless in a designated area pursuant to the Commissioner of Public Works or his or her designee. So ultimately, it's a dual. In addition to prohibiting the use of recreational marijuana on town properties, it also prohibits and regulates the use of grills, portable grills, and campfires on town properties as well.
And under the proposed legislation, what type of, would any recreational fires be permitted
In designated areas.
in designated areas? And it would be consistent with certain kind of state code regarding what a recreational fire is?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. You know, I know we've had issues, especially up at the beach at Seabreeze, some pretty bad accidents, and again, looking to codify things in the code versus just having them posted on a tree or in guidelines. The more we can affirm that as a board, we do have the right to provide oversight to the park, which is owned by the state. That's our job, is to operate the park. So this would be in that light.
Are there any areas where cooking grills are designated to be used, that they are not prohibited to be used?
Yes, that would be at Camp Eastman for each one of the cabins. Further, we do have signage at Camp Eastman that articulates that portable grills are not to be used. However, we do not have a code to actually enforce. And to the supervisor's point, not only are we talking about the Arundecoit Bay State Marine Park for campfires on the beach, but our other town parks which have beaches, specifically Bateau Terrace.
Thanks. Any further questions? I hear none, so I ask if you are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 24, approving the special event license for E-Race, second annual Juneteenth event.
Motion to adopt.
Move.
And a second.
Second.
This would approve a special event license for the, as the clerk said, the annual Juneteenth event. Ms. Vecchio, have we received insurance? We have received the insurance. Ms. Vecchio confirmed that, as
Yes, we got
Mrs. Junior did as well, so that's good. And this will be held in not conjunction, but to complement the town's Juneteenth event, which is being organized by iCare under the leadership of Councilwoman Freeman. So glad that we're providing recognition to this not new holiday, but one that certainly is we're looking to create better awareness for. So we're happy to help in that regard. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The resolution is adopted. This concludes our body of work for tonight's regular town board meeting. Next regularly scheduled workshop meeting will be Tuesday, June 8th, 2021, 4 p.m. here in the Broderick Meeting Room at Town Hall. Next regular town board meeting, Tuesday, June 15th, 2021, 7 p.m. in the Broderick Meeting Room at Town Hall. We may have a need for a special board meeting in early June. Commissioner Kiley will keep us apprised of that. We will make sure we schedule it with as much advance notice, notify all the media outlets that are salivating to find out when we're holding special meetings and comply with all relevant state laws. I want to thank our council for pinch hitting. I didn't run my mouth too much, I hope, and hopefully you're not texting your counterparts as to how I messed up in any regard, but nice to see you again. I will now take a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This meeting is adjourned.
We hope you enjoyed this presentation of the Arundecoit Town Board on ICAT, Government Access.